Welcome to Harbinger's flagship interactive webinar, Power Hour. Select the right speaker for audio output. Test your speaker from audio settings. If necessary, join the webinar using your phone. Use the Q&A panel to share your questions. This webinar is being recorded. Attendees will receive the recording. Let's tune in.
Hello everyone, greetings from Harbinger. My name is Anuj and I am your moderator for today's exciting event. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us for this interactive Learning Power Hour session hosted by Harbinger. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, allow me to provide some context. Power Hour is a series of interactive roundtable discussions which is hosted by Harbinger, where industry experts share their experiences and insights on various topics. Now, building on to the resounding success of our previous Power Hour session on the topic using generative AI in L&D for e-learning content development, and taking into consideration your feedback and requests, we have crafted this new Power Hour as a follow-up to the original session, but this time focusing on the theme of generative AI in e-learning development, practical tips and best practices. So without further ado, let's dive right into today's discussion. But before that, before we get started, I'd like to inform you that we have a special giveaway for you, awaiting you at the end of this session. So please stay tuned for that. And now it's time to introduce today's host for this session. Please join me in welcoming my colleague Deepali Tharkude. Deepali is an accomplished e-learning industry professional with 20 plus years of experience, including in leadership roles. She has a track record of building and nurturing high performance teams and enhancing customer relationships that have led to substantial business growth. During this time, Deepali has witnessed the ever-evolving landscape of e-learning development, from changes to tools, to technologies, from shifts in delivery models and modalities, etc. And moreover, she has consistently designed innovative solutions to address the diverse business challenges faced by customers worldwide in the e-learning and learning and development domain. Deepali, I welcome you. The stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Anuj, and hello to all of you. It's my pleasure to host this Power Hour today. I'm even more excited about this one as it's a follow-up to the Power Hour we did last month. We got a great response, like Anuj said, to that session, and so we decided to do an advanced level of the same topic. Since this is like a part 2, I'll take a couple of minutes to set the context for this Power Hour. In this session, our experts plan to share some tips and best practices on how to use Gen AI in e-learning development. So we'll look at how we can write better prompts to create better storyboards. We'll share what we at Harbinger have explored so far on how to integrate AI with Storyline 360 to craft a unique learning experience, to develop better media assets, and also to translate content into multiple languages. We'll also touch upon the sensitive topic of how to use AI while still ensuring data privacy and security. And finally, we'll get a short introduction from our panelists on Harbinger's iContent framework that enables AI-powered translation of documents, videos, and other learning material. So here's a quick recap of the previous session. Last time, we covered some of the basics of what Gen AI is and how it is used in e-learning. We discussed that it is best to use Gen AI in productivity-enhancing tasks, text analysis, summarization or generation of text, information discovery, and to avoid it in cases where 100% content accuracy is critical or where there are regulatory compliances to be adhered to. And of course, we also talked about interjecting the process with a human review, which is always recommended. We also took an example of how to refine and engineer prompts to get the result you want. We showed this example using Adobe Firefly and Dream Studio. And we showed a similar example of the impact of strong prompt engineering using code modification in Python. The ease of auto-commenting code and auto-refactoring code are some of the use cases that we also showed. And finally, we presented examples of text generation through different prompt traversal techniques like zero shot, chain of thought, SC chain of thought, and tree of thought prompting. And like I said earlier, it's been a month since that session. So we'd really like to see how many of us have started using GenAI as part of the e-learning development process. Anuj, should we take a quick poll, please?
Absolutely, Deepali. So the poll is up for our audience. You could take a vote. We'll wait for some time. Okay, the votes are coming in really fast.
It's interesting.
So we'll wait for 20 seconds. So we have crossed 80% participation. I request all those remaining to take this poll. Another 10 seconds. Okay, shall I end the poll, Deepali?
Yes, I think we have a winner.
So the results coming up on the screen. I hope everyone is able to see that.
Right. So this is really interesting, Anuj. Last time we had a very close tie between the first two, which is, yes, we've already started using it and we're still exploring it. Today, there seems to be a clear winner that people are still exploring this. And it's good to know that you're exploring it and it's not yet off the table. You probably still need some time to find or identify which tools best suit your needs and also probably to train your employees on those tools. Thank you, Anuj, for that poll.
Sure. Thank you.
And I think with that, it's time to bring in our panelists. Welcome back, Ashita, Mayank, Ankita. It's been a month since we last met. And on several requests that came in for a more detailed session, we have all of you on the panel again. So thank you once again for taking out the time. You all are obviously just as excited about the amazing potential and uses of AI, and you've probably made even more headway into understanding its use in our industry. So what has kept you driven and kept you wanting to explore this technology? Ashita, would you like to share your thoughts first?
Sure. So, hello everyone, and thank you for joining this session. And thanks again, Dipali, for having me on this panel today. To answer your question, I'm continually fueled by the generative AI's ever-evolving nature and its immense potential. Its creative problem-solving capabilities are awe-inspiring, offering possibilities like personalization, automated content creation, and realistic simulations for e-learning. The collaborative aspect excites me too, as it empowers educators and e-learning professionals like us to enhance their work effortlessly. However, I am equally invested in the ethical considerations that come with this power. As generative AI advances, we must address ethical concerns, bias, and responsible AI use in education. Just to sum up, I would just say it's a field that keeps me on my toes, continually learning and striving to make a positive impact.
Thanks, Ashita. And we are going to touch upon all of those points in more detail as we go along. Mayank, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, before that, Deepali, Ashita, just a quick check. There is some echo issue at your side. Meanwhile, if you could try connecting to a headphone or something, would be good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so thanks, Dipali, and thanks everyone who are here and they have shown excitement about this AI and using AI in learning and development. And I think a lot of this would echo with the same people that they are also excited about it. That's why they are here. And something which keeps me, looking into reading stuff about this, these new tools coming out is how much innovation they are carrying these days, the kind of abilities that it is opening up to to people who are using it. And we are just exploring it, and it's just the start of all of a lot of new things coming up also down the horizon. So these promises keep me always excited about reading the next thing or the next challenge which we are facing or the next promise that is out there on the horizon. So that's what keeps me on.
Thank you, Mayank. And I know you have some really interesting tips and tricks coming up for our audience. So looking forward to this session with you. What about you, Ankita? I think the progress in the multimedia space, especially, is absolutely fantastic. We have Gen AI tools that can generate videos, soundtracks, and more. Would you like to share what else is keeping you driven and exploring this technology?
Yeah, sure, Dipali. So first of all, I would like to say thanks to the lovely audience for joining in, and thanks, Dipali, for having me here. And yes, Dipali, it has absolutely changed all the aspects of the multimedia generation. And I must say that it never fails me to surprise me with the different characteristics. And as a graphic designer or a multimedia creators, we have so many assets to create to support the learning courses, for example, soundtracks, voiceovers, videos, images, and etc. So generative AI eases our task and helps us to improve the efficiency, and it also streamlines and speeds up the process of the content creation. And second thing I would like to say here is the customization. So generative AI can generate multimedia content tailored to the individual preferences, and this enables personalized user experiences such as recommendations, advertisements, and various user interfaces. And I would say the second thing would be the innovation. This technology encourages innovation in the multimedia field, and creative professionals and the developers can experiment a lot with generative AI content, and they can push the boundaries of what's possible in this multimedia domain. And last but not the least is the storytelling. So, in the realm of the multimedia entertainment, generative AI can be used to create fantastic and the dynamic and the interactive narratives in the form of the video games, virtual reality experiences, and other forms of interactive media. So, yeah, these all are the points that keeps me excited about this technology, and it drives me to learn more about it.
Thank you, Ankita. And thanks everyone for sharing your thoughts. So, like we promised our viewers today, this time we are going to do a deep dive into the topic and actually demonstrate how we've used Gen AI in e-learning development. Mayank, would you like to start by sharing some best practices while creating storyboards using AI?
Yeah, so last time what I spoke about was on different prompting techniques, which was about zero shot, chain of thought, tree of thought. So this time, as a lot of people gave feedback that they would want to see a more practical, hands-on experience in using these, using generative AI to develop things which they can actually use. So one of the things was, as instruction designers, we are all creating storyboards on a very regular basis. And in this session, I'm going to demonstrate a few examples on using those previous prompt reversal techniques into this.
Right.
So if
Just
you
a quick
see
check. Sorry to interrupt you, Mayank. Is my screen visible? Is it okay?
yeah, it's all right.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So for this one, in prompting techniques, we saw zero shot, which was giving one prompt and we're getting one response, and that expected response is the correct one which we are going to use further. Chain of thought would be we are asking a question, then we are asking a connected questions, and then subsequently we are reaching to a result point. And tree of thought is about exploration into a topic where we take a single topic and then we dive into different aspects to it. So so tree of thought is not a very prominent example to be used for storyboards, and maybe the content generated by tree of thought can be used in zero shot and chain of thought, and that we will see right now. But first in zero shot. So let's see zero shot. So in this technique, usually a prompt should have a few characteristics to make it a good prompt. So one of those characteristics is task, another one is context, similarly examples, persona, format, and tone. And this is in decreasing order of importance. So we always should specify what task we want the AI or the generative AI to do. Second, we have to give it a context, in which context it is operating. It is a good idea to give examples. We have seen that the quality of outputs improves tremendously if we are giving in examples in our prompts. A persona is something which helps to zero down on the kind of knowledge base which we are focusing on when we are prompting. Because ChatGPT has a lot of information, and maybe we want to utilize only a very specific topic of information, and that's where we ask it to develop a persona which is expert in that sphere of knowledge. And that's what's helped us to get the right kind of words, the right kind of verbiage. Then it is an optional to provide a format. So if you want the output to be given in a certain format, then we should provide that. And similarly, a tone, whether we want it to sound casual or straight, formal or informal or straightforward, direct, indirect, different kinds of tones. And you can be really creative with tones. So you can have different accents, a different kind of local regional dialect, something like that, and it works a lot. So in Zero Shot, what I've done for a storyboard, I've created a prompt. So this is the one prompt that I'm going to give, and based on this, I will ChatGPT is going to give me a certain output. So as you can see in this prompt, I have specified a task, which is creating a storyboard for an e-learning module. Next thing I'm going to provide is the context, which is, so I want this the e-learning to be on basics of sustainable agriculture, which is aimed at high school students with no prior knowledge of agriculture. So this sets up the context on what kind of thing we are working on. Next thing is we are giving it an example that, okay, there can be many ways of creating a structure or a storyboard, but in this specific way, I want the structure to be a classic story arc that begins with introducing the significance of sustainable agriculture, progresses to its principles and practices, and concludes with its implications on the environment and society. So this is an example that I wanted to follow for the storyboard. Next, I have a persona. So embody the persona of an experienced high school biology teacher with a decade of expertise in teaching sustainable agriculture. Now, this helps to get the right kind of tone, verbiage, and associated information related to a high school biology teacher, because we're creating it for high school students. Next, we are going to create a format. So the structure in the storyboard should present sequence of frames with description, with dialogue, with accompanying visuals. So we are giving it a format on what kind of output we are expecting. Then the next thing would be the tone should be engaging, informative, and comprehensible, using lucid language and examples. So this overall is a prompt, and so as you can see, it's a zero shot. So for one prompt, I have included all the information. So I'm sure a lot of you would have tried out, who were there in the last session, would have tried out zero shot prompting. So please do comment if you tried out zero shot prompting, and if this helps you in a certain way to give you more context on what we are talking about and how to get a good output. So do let us know in the comments. Now let's see what kind of output we get after this prompt. So you can see there is a description, a dialogue, a visual. So there are different frames. So this is the output that we're expecting. Now, it's not the perfect output, but our prompting is, it's a zero shot prompting, so we cannot expect it to understand everything. So this, within that structure, it has given us an output that we can quickly use, or we can develop an idea around, okay, what kind of thing we can work on, or how a flow of a storyboard can be. So this is something which is good for maybe experimentation or ideation purposes. And similarly, in the prompt, you can always edit the prompt, and you can fix things or ask it to elaborate things that maybe, okay, you don't want a visual or an interactivity, should be something different. And that's where you can give it more examples. So you can, within that zero shot prompt, you can have more details in it. So that's the idea of zero shot prompting. A more useful prompting, as we also saw in the last session, was chain of thought, which we are expected to get a much better result out of it, and we'll see how. So in chain of thought, we are not asking it to give us the end solution immediately. First of all, we want to set the task or the context, maybe that, okay, we are going to be working on a storyboard, and maybe instead of creating a storyboard immediately, let's start with something of a content outline, and then we can also give the context. So for a similar kind of storyboard, what we will write in the prompt would be in the next slide over here. So instead of writing a storyboard, so in the last prompt we asked it to create a storyboard. Here we just wanted to create an outline of a storyboard, and this is the same topic that we used in the last time, the same kind of structure, the context that we have given. And based on this, the output that we get is a very elaborate storyboard that has an introduction, that has a section on significance, which is like an act 1. Then we have an act 2, which has principles and practices, and similarly each of those sections have subsections and the kind of points we want to cover in those sections, and all of this is aimed towards high school students who don't have knowledge about agriculture. So we have a very elaborate window of information that we can use. Now the next prompt that we are going to have, so we want to give it a persona and a tone, and we wanted to elaborate a little bit more. So that would be the next step. So it will be, we give it the same kind of persona, and instead of creating scene by scene like storyboard format, we will ask it to create an essay or a writing style or a script, maybe, where we are only focusing on one of those sections in that content outline. So over here, I've taken create detailed content for the section 2, act 1, which was the significance of sustainable agriculture, where we're defining sustainable agriculture, we're explaining the what it is, and we are also giving it a historical context. And same thing, we want the content to be in chunks and detail, the tone should be engaging, and because we are not starting from the introduction, we are starting somewhere in the middle, so we also would like to specify that let the flow be a continuation from the previous section. So it's not that we are again welcoming the students to learn about the same thing. And this can be something which you can tweak based on your own use case. So given this context, we get this output where you can see on screen, we have a detailed description of explanations, we have definitions, we have a nice historical context that it has given us. And this is a good chunk of content that we can use. It has good explanations, it has a story, and it has a lot of things that we can work with. And this we can further process. Now we have a good meat of content. Now we can use an example or a format. So in the previous slide, if you see that there is a historical context given in that, and maybe we don't want to write a storyboard. Maybe we want to create a video in this format, or we want to create a script. So that is something which we can further tweak based on our own needs. But in the next one, the prompt that I've given is to create a storyboard. So in the next slide, this is the prompt. We are asking it to rewrite the above response, and we wanted to create a storyboard which has a sequence of scenes, which has description, dialogue, a visual element, and the tone. So it is a good idea to reiterate on the tone to make sure that we get a good output. And we also want to ensure that all the content in the previous response is covered, or a very specific content that we want to be covered. So that is a good idea to tweak. And the output that we get is, as you can see, it has a very detailed structure. It's not filling up the whole screen. It has, for example, the voiceover. It has that, okay, this is the part of the previous response that you can use as a voiceover in this part. And this should be a visual interactive element. And you can, again, this one also, I took a lot of content, but you can further be a little more micro oriented towards a specific section in a topic, and you will get a good response. Now, this is just one section in that whole content outline. So as we see in chain of thought, we have multiple sections, but all of them are starting from a singular point. So in the next slide, we can see that original content outline prompt remains the same, and from that we are branching out to different sections and different slides, and each of those sections we are further processing into the kind of output we're expecting. So this is again a good technique to create storyboards, and we can get a good kind of output from chain of thought. So that's mostly it. If you have used some of these techniques, then please, I would be very curious to hear about your experiences in the comments.
Thank you, Mayank. Yes, there do seem to be quite a few questions pouring into the comment section. You might want to take a look at that. So that was a really detailed example of how to build good storyboards using different prompt traversal techniques. Mayank, defining the persona also includes defining the target audience as well, right? Because that will help generate content that is appropriate in terms of language, vocabulary, etc.
Correct. So when we are defining a persona, we are basically isolating a certain sphere of knowledge in ChatGPT, which we want to purpose for our whatever exercise that we're doing. But if we have a target audience, for example, here we had high school students. So we may want to specify that so that the output, so the input is the persona of the teacher, but the output should be a persona of high school students. That will help it to create a more nuanced language, sentence structures. It won't be very complex. Whereas if you want to write it for a research academician or somebody like that who has immense experience, so for that, if we specify as a target audience, we will get a different kind of output, which has more complex sentence structure or a more technical jargon of that particular domain. It always helps.
Thank you. Thanks once again. So generating content is a major part of the e-learning development process. And another task that takes up a lot of effort is development using standard tools like Storyline. Ashita, let me come to you. I know you have explored different ways of using AI in the development process. Would you like to share your findings on that?
Before saying, I hope I'm audible clearly now.
Yeah, you're audible. Still some echo, but you could continue. Speak a little slowly. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks. So yeah, thanks for asking that, Dipali. So we have worked on a bunch of use cases where we have used generative AI in an authoring tool like Storyline, and that I would like to just share with you all of you here today. As you can see on the screen now, we have used generative AI to produce dynamic quiz questions and their answers based on the content of the course. The questions that generative AI will create will be personalized to the learner who is taking the course. Here we have definitely followed all the tips or checks that should be taken care of while generating the assessment from a storyboarding point of view. This case is ongoing translation of the course content. Here, the content of a single page can be viewed in different language by clicking on a button available on that particular page. Next, we've also built an instant glossary where any terms meaning can be generated using generative AI by clicking on the screen. Then we have worked on descriptive answer evaluation, where we are using generative AI to evaluate a descriptive answer given by the learner while taking the course. Lastly, we have also tried using generative AI to dynamically generate audio where the on-screen text of the course can be converted into an audio. This can be useful if in any particular case, the on-screen text of the course, the slide page is not clearly visible to the learner. So out of all these, we have a quick demo to showcase the descriptive answer evaluation use case. So here, as you can see, the content of this course is from leadership and management domain, and the topic is resolving workplace conflicts. At the end of this particular course, there is a question related to the which a descriptive answer is expected from the learner. Sir, This particular question is evaluated using generative AI on multiple different parameters like communication skills, clarity, contextual understanding, relevance, and adaptability. And a specific score of 5 is given to each parameter based on the evaluation. You can see the evaluation happens dynamically for different responses. Just to give you a background of this, we have used GPT-4 API with Storyline in a certain manner that it takes the user input from the course as soon as the submit button is clicked on the screen and evaluates the answer to provide score on the displayed parameters. And yeah, as I mentioned, this is just one of the use cases, and the possibilities are enormous to use generative AI like Storyline.
Deepali?
Yes, thank you so much, Ashita. I think there is still a problem with your audio. So I hope we'll be able to, see this later on. Maybe we can answer questions later. But that was very interesting. And I think as e-learning designers, we tend to avoid using descriptive answer questions as they're very difficult to evaluate by the program. So this use case of Gen AI is going to change assessment design and e-learning to a large extent. Thank you, Ashita. We have our storyboard ready. We've seen how to integrate in Storyline as well. Let's look at another part of the development process, which is multimedia development. This again can be a very effort-intensive process, especially when we adopt, say, an illustration or animation-based approach. Ankita, is there a way to use Gen AI to create media content for e-learning?
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, fine. So before starting, I would like to set some context for it. So as you all are aware that we have different types of multimedia, like to support the learning courses that we create. So here I'll be presenting an animated video generated using AI. And this video is created using the Artflow.ai application. And this video is used to set the introduction for the sustainable energy course for the high school students, for which Mayank has shared, has created the storyboard and which he has just presented. So to start the process, you need to come up with a story. So this is the story that I fed into the Artflow application. And after entering your story, you'll go to the next thing and you can add the characters here. You can add as many characters as you want to depict your story. Next, you can select the genre of your story. Here you have multiple options to choose from. And after selecting the particular thing or particular genre style, so here I've selected the drama. And after selecting the particular genre, you can hit the create this story button at the top right corner. And as soon as you click on this create the story button, you will get the option to select the format, in which format you want your story to be presented in. So you have two options here, vertical and the horizontal. After selecting the particular story format, the application will redirect you to select the visual style. This basically will present the characters in a particular format. So for this example, I chose a storybook format. And on the next slide, you can see the interface that appears in front of you as soon as you select your visual style. So here are a few things that I would like to highlight. First is the narration and the image icon at the, so this is the narration and the image icon. Here you can add the narration, what you want your narration to be in the particular frame. And for the image thing, for the image icon, what you can do, you can select the activity your particular character is doing and the background that I'll be showing you later in this slides. And the next thing is the current frame on which you are currently working. Next, you can see at the right hand side, you can choose the images from the option. And at the below, you can see the sequence of the whole story. And can you click on? Now you can see as when I was reviewing this particular story, so I found that this particular image is not aligned with the narration. So what I did, I just changed the activity and the background, which is there in the image icon option. So when you click on the, so this one is the activity which was earlier, which was there when I created the storyboard or the video, and the changed one here I have shown. So this is the final output that you will receive when you change the activity and the story and the background of the image icon. And when you click, and this is the final
Farmer Mary stands amidst the bountiful farmland, her hands dirtied with the fruits of her labor. Mary greets a group of eager young learners, their eyes wide with curiosity, as she invites them to explore the world of sustainable agriculture. Holding a plump, juicy tomato, Mary explains to the young learners that sustainable agriculture ensures a steady supply of these flavorful treasures, capturing their attention. Mary elaborates on the 3 essential pillars of sustainable agriculture: environmental stewardship, economic viability, and social responsibility, emphasizing the importance of taking care of the planet, making a living, and ensuring access to fresh, healthy food for all. Absorbing the information shared by Mary, the young learners listen attentively, their faces a canvas of understanding and burgeoning curiosity. Grasping the significance of sustainability, the young learners huddle together, exchanging ideas and passionately discussing how they can actively contribute to sustainable agriculture in their own lives and communities. Inspired by Mary's teachings, the young learners break ground on a community garden, their hands gripping shovels and smiles radiating with enthusiasm as they embark on their mission to promote sustainable agriculture. The community garden thrives, a tapestry of vibrantly colored fruits and vegetables stretching across the land, basking in the warm embrace of the golden sunlight. Standing tall and proud, the young learners display their bountiful harvest in overflowing baskets, a testament to their success in embracing sustainable agriculture. Mary's heart swells with pride and satisfaction as she stands among the flourishing community garden, reaping the rewards of their collective efforts in sustainable agriculture. The young learners, voices animated and passionate, share their knowledge about sustainable agriculture with others, igniting a spark of curiosity and inspiring further change. Mary and the young learners harvest their first batch of tomatoes, their hands intertwined in a symbolic display of unity and unwavering commitment to the principles of sustainable agriculture.
So yeah, as you have seen, normally an animated video of this quality would take days to create. But using the apps with generative AI capabilities would take only few minutes to create this thing. So this is how generative AI helped us to create amazing videos in our learning courses.
That was fantastic, Ankita. Thank you for that example. I think intro animations that are used to grab learners' attention are a critical part of e-learning, and being able to generate these in a matter of minutes will make a very positive impact on the development effort and time. So thank you for taking this specific example. Another use that we are seeing becoming popular is the use of AI in translating developed versions into multiple languages. And Ashita, last time you had talked about using Gen AI for translations and about Harbinger's iContent framework. Post the session, our viewers have been curious about how we are using AI to generate translated content such as documents, videos, and courses. Would you please be able to share some tips or show a demo?
So most of us might now know that AI can be better than traditional machine translation ways in several ways, whether it's contextual understanding, language variability, customization to support industry specific terms, etc. And that's where in the last session we shared an overview of iContent, which is Harbinger's IP. So maybe for the newer audience, I can give a quick recap of the same. Harbinger has developed a framework around AI called iContent, and what it does is whether it's XLIF files, which many of us use to get translations through authoring tools, documents like DOCX files or PPTs, PDFs, or even videos, and it can transcribe it in case of videos and translate the content in variety of different languages. So there's a demo here as well that we would want you to showcase on how document translation takes place with a simple customizable primitive UI used over here. Can we start the video? Yes. See, so here we've used a DOCX file for the demo purpose. As you can see, a simple interface where we are uploading this particular file, choosing the language in which the translation is expected, and then download the file. So here, as you can see, the content is getting translated, retaining the original format of the document. Now, the benefit of this is I can translate the document into multiple different languages within seconds. And of course, these are editable documents. So if needed, these can also be sent to a language expert for the review purpose. And similar to this, as I mentioned before, the framework has the capability to translate files like PPT, PDFs, etc., along with videos. Now, using this framework, translation of content in around 200 languages is a possibility, mostly covering the ones which are most commonly spoken around the world. Again, the time it would take to translate any asset would purely depend on many multiple factors, and it includes the type of file that is being processed, the size and design of the content available in it, etc. Again, we have this tool ready, so if someone is interested to know more capabilities of iContent apart from translations, we will be happy to connect offline with all of you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashita. So you showed us how we could translate a document and even retain its format using Harbinger's iContent framework. But if we were to extract a bilingual and put it through the tool, a bilingual document that you get out of Storyline, will we be able to retain the bilingual format as well and import the translated bilingual back into Storyline directly?
That's definitely a possibility.
Good to know. Thank you once again. And thank you, Ankita and Mayank as well. I think we covered some wonderful examples to show the entire e-learning development process using Gen AI. I'm sure the viewers would have found this useful. Another question that we had from our viewers last time was how to secure one's IP while using Gen AI. Any thoughts on that, Mayank?
Yeah, so I think this is a repeated question because we are working in such a gray area in terms of legal aspects of what we are generating, who owns it. So everyone is always asking this. So one thing is, whatever app or service, AI service we are using, we should definitely check the legal terms and conditions on what we can use or not use. For ChatGPT, we have the legal terms on screen right now, which specifies that the customer will own all the input and also the output, which they can use for commercial purposes as well. So that gives us a lot of power to use whatever we are generating freely. Whether they store the data that we are giving the ChatGPT or any other AI. For ChatGPT specifically, they don't use the content for their own training purposes as long as we're using the API, or if in the chat window we have disabled those settings. So we also have a screenshot for that thing. So if you're using ChatGPT on a window, on a web page, we have to go to data controls, and over there we have to enable chat history and training. Whether if we want to save our chats in the browser, which can be used, we have to disable it if we don't want it to be saved by ChatGPT or the data to be used for training purposes. And it is also important to know that this setting is specific to the device you're using. So if you're using on your laptop or on your phone, then you will have to turn on or off this setting on both the places if you want to keep things consistent. So just to reiterate, always make sure that you're reading the legal terms and conditions for each of those apps you're using to make sure that you're on the right side.
Absolutely, Mayank. Anyone else would like to add to that?
Sure, Buddy. I can. Thanks for sharing that information. That's really helpful. So I also want to share about an interesting experience that we have been working on for some of our large enterprise customers, for them to ensure the data security at their end, rather than the ChatGPT route. We are going the private large language models route. This is source AI models can be used, which gives equivalent results like GPT. Some examples include Falcon, Aura, Llama 2, which is newly introduced by Meta. These can be used as a base, and then we can train it on enterprises' private data. And then here the good part is it remains in the ecosystem of the enterprise, and that's how it maintains the security of the data. And then enterprises can build custom applications on top of this particular LLM setup based on their needs. So, for an example, I can mention one of our large enterprise customers, who are into insurance. We have been working for them to train a large language model with their content like insurance policies, processes, and so on. And then we are building a chatbot for their sales team, which they can use to query on any kind of policy, process, security, etc. And the answers never come from GPT, but goes to this particular private LLM model, which has been built, and it generates exactly the similar experience the way GPT does. So that's another way for enterprises who are looking to secure their IP, along with delivering experiences like ChatGPT.
Thank you so much for that information, Ashita and Mayank. In fact, companies are spending a lot of time and money on understanding the legalities and ensuring that AI can be safely adopted. Recently, just about a week ago, I think Ernst & Young announced the launch of EY.ai, a unifying platform that brings together human capabilities and AI to help clients adopt AI in a more responsible and confident way so that they can use it to transform their business processes. So with their in-depth experience in strategy, risk assessment, taxation, and their technology expertise, they have developed a robust AI ecosystem for their clients. So it does sound like the industry is actively looking to adopt AI in different ways possible while still keeping the ethical and legal aspects in mind. So that was a really wonderful session by all our panelists. And we'll just do a quick summary of the tips and best practices we showed today. Mayank showed us how well-designed prompts can help generate good content outlines, storyboards, interactions as well. Ashita showed us how scripting integrates Gen AI into authoring tools like Storyline for dynamic and personalized learning. And Ankita showed the generation of multimedia elements like videos quickly with Gen AI. We also saw Ashita showing the iContent framework by Harbinger that automates the process of high-quality translations. And we spoke a little bit about how private LLMs are a great way for large enterprises to secure their IP. With that, we come to the end of our discussion with the panelists, and I would request Anuj to take over. Thank you, Ashita, Mayank, and Ankita for being a wonderful panel. And thank you, audience, for the comments and questions that have been pouring in, which we will address soon. Anuj, over to you.
Thank you so much, Deepali. So, speaking about Harbinger as an organization, as a company, I would like to share with our viewers that Harbinger is a global e-learning and technology services company that creates products and solutions to transform the way people work and learn. And how do we do this? Well, the future of work, learning, and the future of automation is here with us. And with over 30 plus years of experience in the e-learning industry, Harbinger has consistently innovated and developed frameworks that we apply to customer projects for e-learning development. So when you collaborate with Harbinger, you will witness our commitment to delivering unique learning experiences, while at the same time, significantly optimizing your budgets and also reducing the development time and controlling the time to market significantly. So that's about Harbinger. And as we had promised, we have a special giveaway for all of our attendees as well. So what we would like to offer you is a no-cost consultation with the Harbinger's Center of Excellence team, who specifically, wherein Harbinger has specifically invested in researching on AI and come up with the frameworks and tools, some of which we discussed today. So just write to us at the email given here. That's contact us at harbingergroup.com. And it's a great opportunity for you and us to kind of explore your learning landscape and also explore which areas within your e-learning landscape can Gen AI be used to increase your time to market and optimize your cost. So please do email us at contact@harbinger.com to avail this great opportunity. With that, we will move on to the Q&A session. In the interest of time, in case we are not able to address all the questions, but we'll make sure that we respond to each of your questions, after the session, and our experts and the panelists here would do that. I have a few questions. Let me just stop my screen here. Sharing, yeah. So we have a few questions just to start with. Yeah, so Jennifer would like to ask, and Ankita, you could take this with reference to what you have shared, Ankita. So would this work with an informational text? If, for example, students were learning about a particular person in history, would this work?
So Artflow basically uses its own character set, and it may not work best for person and history, but we have other tools to create some images, for example, Midjourney. That would help to create the characters, but then you would need to take it up for the editing of the videos then.
Okay, got it. Deepali, there is a question. What is the feedback from the learners? I mean, can you take this one?
So is this in reference with the video that Ankita showed?
There is no mention of that.
Okay, just because it's in sequence. So yes, if it is about that, then yes, the adding these kind of animated videos as grab attention screens, so introduction animations or at the start or for a transition between two topics has been very well received. We're getting good feedback from learners on that.
Sure. Ashita, you may want to take this question from Sarah. Are you familiar with Canmigo, and is Harbinger doing anything like that as far as creating AI tutors or incorporating ChatGPT within learning applications so users can interact with a trained AI? So are we familiar with this?
Maybe I believe Mayank has used it, and maybe Mayank can answer that particular question.
Yes, so Khanmigo is basically AI chatbot that Khan Academy has on their own platform, and it helps you out by giving you suggestions and they have trained it for their own specific purpose. So Khan Academy is mostly used by young students, school-going students. So it is made specifically for their purpose and their kind of curriculum. And Khan Academy and OpenAI have a close relationship. So they were able to get access to ChatGPT even before it was launched publicly to try out. So there are a lot of potential in that, and people like Khan Academy who are working on Khan Migo, they are basically trailblazers for things to follow, because there is a lot of gray area around policy, around data that we are having for students, how we are saving it. So it opens up a lot of things that we need to decide on or discuss as a in maybe even in terms of policy, how we are handling it. So that's why it is a bit slow. We don't see it on a lot of LMSs out there. And I'm hoping maybe in the future at Harbinger also we would have something like that, and that will really be a pretty cool thing to have.
Thank you, Mayank. Now we have a question from Jennifer and Ashita. This is with reference to the iContent framework when you were demoing it. The question is, what tool is being used for this? I mean, it would refer to the iContent. So can you talk a little bit more about the framework?
Uh, So basically, when it comes to the UI, as I mentioned, this is just a very primitive, customizable UI that we have created using React and technologies like Next.js. When it comes to the backend of it, for the translation purposes, we are using GPT-4 and GPT-4 API altogether. And for working on certain different types of assets, we have certain automation engines which basically take care of placing the translated content in the current format. So that's where we are treating documents like MS Word, MS PPT, and then there are certain automation engines which we are taking care of. And these particular automation engines we have built using programming languages including Python and Java.
Okay, and Carol had a similar question, which is which version of GPT is required for creating these type of activities, and I think you just answered that. Yeah, great. Let me check for more questions. Yeah, we have another question from Carol. Is each output from the storyboard presented in files or different folders? Anyone could take it up. The output, from the storyboard presented in files or different folders? That's the question. Is each output?
So if you're using the web interface of ChatGPT, the output is mostly in text format. So that can be copy pasted into Word or PPT. In the paid version of ChatGPT, we do get access to advanced data analysis where we can actually work on images, PPT files, and CSV files. A lot of options over there. But mostly for creating content or learning content, either you use API and you bring that data from ChatGPT or any AI into a specific file or a folder via API, or you use copy pasting and creating your own custom repository for information.
Great. So another question that's from an anonymous attendee. So the question is the platform closed source? Also, is it possible to teach based on IPs? How would we go about teaching the AI those concepts? And the attendee also mentions that I don't think I fully understood that when you went over it. So is the question clear? I mean, or should I repeat that? So is it possible to teach based on IPs? How would we go about teaching the AI those concepts? So it's about, I think, teaching the AI. Mayank, you have something to
I think if the question is meaning to ask if we have, for example, a specific IP or a closed process that we want the AI to use, and use that as a context and create content on top of it.
Yeah.
So for that, either if it is a large scale project, then it is a good idea to use private LLMs, as Ashita had mentioned, to keep data within that environment.
Context. Yeah.
Yeah. Not just it will remain in that enterprise infrastructure. It will not go out of that. The IP will not go out. Or you use specific AIs which don't save your IPs, and or you can change your settings that we had demonstrated to enable those contexts where we are not saving those IPs, in which you can share that information, let the AI process it, and you take the output, and that data is deleted then. So there is no way to revisit it, but as long as you have the output and you've taken it with you, I think your purpose is solved in that case.
Thanks, Mayank, for that. We had a question from Mahmood. Yeah, so for an e-learning group that mainly teaches proprietary information, how difficult would it be to have the tool understand a concept that isn't common or readily available information when creating a storyboard? So, I mean, yeah.
This is also similar to what we just discussed. Like we're sharing an IP content to it, we can also give it a specific context which the AI can use and answer, create content or answer questions. Yeah.
Sure, great. So I think just a quick time check. We are, almost out of time. So for all the unanswered questions, what we would do is our panelist will respond to you. We'll reach out to you over email and share our response. So thank you so much. And you're also welcome to connect with all our panelists. We'll share their LinkedIn profile links in the chat, and you're welcome to connect with them as well. And please don't miss out on the opportunity for the no cost consultation with us. We'll wait for your emails on that. You could also contact us for any other things or any other discussions you'd like to have at the same email. That's contact@harbingergroup.com. So till then, we thank our panelists, our wonderful attendees, for your time and the information that you have shared over this session. And we look forward to having more such sessions with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.